time. My family, we all come together. We got one person who knows everything. That's a good law. Let's take one more side. Father, thank you. For gracious Father, we come to the presence. Thank you. Thank you for everything that we have accomplished. You and I, without you, we couldn't have done anything. Father, I mean, it's not to thank you for this so easy work is impossible. Father, pray for this journey, give wisdom, knowledge, understanding, good satisfaction, that's our ability. I can get every jury here in the family as well. It's everyone, some of them before us. If they're not to make it, do it too. Let's look at our I pray for this country, this state, this family, this community. I pray for the best forces. I just pray for wisdom all. I pray for justice, Father. Please, most of all, Father, I pray for continuity. Let's do the best that we can. Best out here for the people who have a voice. We are not the real voice for the voice. Let's look at that. Father, everything come before us tonight. Mom, thank you. You have the right direction. You think it's said and done. Mom, you got all praise on you. You think
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr.
Your new testaments are courtesy of your local Gideon camp.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kent, I think I'm right saying that people come adjusted to mics. Is that not true, Ms. Harris?
Yes, they did come, someone did come to check out the mics. They're supposed to come back because they would like to adjust it according to how loud you all speak. What he did say is there is nothing, from what he can tell, that's wrong with the mics, that you all just need to speak into the mic. And he can also work up something if you would like mics to come from the ceiling, a proposal or something like that. But there was an adjustment to check all of the mics. And
With that being said, I'd like to ask everybody please to talk in their mics tonight, because we receive a lot of criticism that we're not being heard.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
and just make sure your green light is on whenever you.
We should invite you on when speaking to you. Okay, please call the roll, Ms. Gibbs.
It's just me.
Okay.
Mr. Dexter Armstead,
Present.
Mrs. Kristen Chastain,
Present.
Mr. Michael Cheatham,
Here.
Mr. Kyle Flanagan,
Here.
Mr. Jason McCray,
Present.
Mr. Keith Mills,
Here.
Mr. Richard Oliver,
Here.
Dr. Chrissy O'Quinn is absent, President Lewis Kent.
Here. You have a phone. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You have worked to approve the agenda, please. You got Mr. McCray?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Armstead. Any discussion? Question from the audience on the agenda. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. First thing is in old business. We will take adopt the minutes from February 22nd in the regular meeting presentation without counting. Need a motion to table.
Motion.
Nobody?
Second.
Second by Mr. Chief. Any discussion? Question from the audience? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. New business. Declare permission to use courthouse ground on March 14th upon the balloon near the and as you know, a few years ago, a number of years ago, a nephew was missing, found missing, he never found him. We had to remind the birthday celebrant that people have a balloon release on the courthouse square on March the 14th. It's the 25th birthday, I believe. Today, the birthday celebrant
Is the plan still balloons? And the only reason I say that is the state recently made that illegal, releasing balloons. So I had heard that, I thought that they were gonna change it to bubbles to be a little bit more compliant with state law. Is that the case?
The last I heard from Ms. Dufour, it was balloons. She didn't contact me if anything changed.
I talked to her today, and it's still balloons, what they got planned, but we're gonna have to talk to her around that.
It's given Mr. DePoy if it's legal to release to the.
I'll double check that.
Yeah. She will. Thank you. We'll get back with on that. That's my problem. The reality of balloons are.
So we won't meet again before March 14th.
We need to do a pending.
We should do that. I make a motion, we do it depending on what the outcome is with the state law.
And I'd second that.
Request for an ordinance. Any more discussion? And then all in favor? And opposed? Motion carried. That's pending on what we get from the jail. Okay, Honorable Regional Library, Cleveland Ribbon Club, Mr. Trevor Collins, come to the mic, please.
Hello, good evening. My name is Trevor Collins. I'm the director of Washington Regional Library. Just wanted to share some exciting news with you all. On March 23rd, we'll have our ribbon cutting event. That'll start at 10 a.m. You're all invited as well. Please tell everyone it's a newly renovated facility right down the road at the Old Presbyterian Church. After the ribbon cutting event, it will move into our first book festival. We're calling it the Festival of Fables. We'll have a lot of things there for the kids. We will have storytellers, games, local authors, costume performers, a balloon artist, a face painter, inflatable food trucks, and refreshments. So please, everyone, come out and enjoy and celebrate. Look at the new library.
Your question? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next two items on the agenda is 2 and 3. Delay to do the legal. We don't want to take up too much time. We'll do that after the regular meeting. Okay, number 5. Request special event permit and permission to alcohol and Guardian Day Foundation to be held on May 18th at 7:30, hours before we now start. Chapter Wayne Road.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Jared Day on behalf of the William Mueller and on behalf of the Guardian Foundation. We're here before you guys. I think this is our third annual event that we're applying for. We're an organization that raises funds to support first responders, their immediate family members with medical bills and things like that. Those who are suffering life-threatening diagnoses. And so our event, again, as we've done in previous years, we get that address listed, and we have a car show, some music, and it's a fundraiser again to raise money for our first responders. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Mr. Chairman, yeah.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? Question from the audience? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
It's on the agenda, request permission to alcohol and cultural conservation association event to be held on April 4th at the Lake at Oak Hill, 2835 Highway 956. Matt Hogg.
So, Mr. Matt, I did speak with him again this morning. He was going to see if a representative would be able to attend. I will let you all know that they did do everything that they needed to do in order to have this event at Lake on the Oak Hill, which is commercial. And they did everything as the ordinance requires them to do. And they also did host this event on last year.
was carried again.
I'll make the motion as long as he's turned in everything, this needs to be turned in, as it's supposed to be.
Motion by Mr. Miller,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Chastain. Any discussion? Question from the audience? Not all in favor? And opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Request amendment to the jail grant for FY 21-22 to appoint this install a diesel generator at ME 67 water contract. Water with this install.
Sorry, Tony Rushon, Vice President of District Number 7, Sam Brown's also here as our president. What this is actually 7 and 8, that's 2 amendments, but it's gonna be both put together since these grants are somewhat smaller. They have to be put together to be able to buy the generator we need for Highway 67. Those grants were originally written by our engineer for Risk Road, and our generator at 67 is in disrepair and old, and we really need to replace it. And we also have a USDA grant that's about to be bid out that will put a new generator at Risk Road. So it's kind of an overlap. We don't need the grants we have there. Risk Road would be a USDA grant. So we're asking to amend that grant that's already been approved by you guys. Back 21-22 and 22-23, like I said, we kind of had to stack them to get enough money. To move it from Risk Road to the well at Highway 67.
We did approve it at the last meeting, and we're going to amend that.
Yeah, the last meeting you approved, the L gap was just current year that was already ended now. These are actually previous years. The trick with all these L gaps and other things, you can't have the 2 grants open at once. So we extended the 2 before these 2, which were 2019, 2020. So now we're in that 21-22 time frame, and that's what we're getting amended is the older grants. If in our, the state says, since you guys are the overseers of those things, we have to get permission from you to go forward on it. But it would help us a lot, because like I said, we do have a USDA grant. We'll put in a brand new generator at Risk Road. So, and our schedule's always just said equipment. We didn't know it was tied to Risk Road. So that's why we're having to do the adjustment. Highway 67.
Question? Miller?
Need a motion.
You want to make a motion? Question by Mr. Alves, second by Mr. Miller. Any more discussion? Question from the audience? Not all in favor? And opposed? Motion carried.
And that's for both.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, number 9, declare project 8550 Highway 155 Edwards, subject, Gary Chastain. Let me state this before she speaks. It's an old voting precinct, and we don't use it anymore. It's dilapidated, it's falling in, and just someone wants to purchase it. That's what we can always legal rights to them to purchase it.
I don't think it's, any reason for us to keep it, and keep that liability. So I make a motion for us to move to surplus and take the next step as someone wants to purchase it.
First of all, Mr. D.A., we have to read and see how we're dedicated to the parish. We deem that to the owner, or do we do it own it? So after that, we'll make that decision. Is it into your purpose again?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. We're going to take action on it until we know. Thank you.
We can declare a surplus.
Yeah, y'all probably could go ahead and declare it surplus tonight, pending any kind of reservations.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and declare surplus pending the decision from the DA.
Second. Any discussion? Question from the audience? Anyone all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Anything else, Mr. Chastain?
That's it.
Okay. Discuss and take action on request to approve advertisement for permit technician. Yes, ma'am. CBO.
Good evening, Jeff Williams, building official here. I'm here tonight to request an advertisement. Ms. Joni Stone is no longer employed with the parish, so I need y'all's permission to advertise for that position.
So moved.
Mr. Fisher,
That's it.
second by Mr. Real discussion. Question on it. None all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. 11, adopt resolution authorizing Cody Deer President George Kent and Parish Secretary Treasurer Lisa Henry as primary son of all Cody Deer accounting firms. Chairman Kyle Flanagan, Vice President Chris O'Quinn, Parish Member David Underwood, and signers to sign in the absence of any primary son.
Mr. Lewis, I'd feel a little bit better if we could table this till our parish manager comes back and we could have a finance committee meeting with him and Ms. Harris. He's out as well as another member, Ms. Oakwin. So I think I'd like to say that for if anyone else has anything. Yes, we can do it next week as soon as he's back in town. I think that would probably be best. So I'd like to make that motion that we table it until he's back in town so we can have it as soon as, yes, and have it as soon as possible.
That's on the motion.
Yes.
Second.
I don't know if this will change anything, but this, 11 and 12, Mr. David did see both of those resolutions, and we can still have the finance week or whatever you all decide to do. This is according to how your policy is written up, and right now we have signers on the account that need to be removed. Mr. Chris Hall is still on the account, and so is, Ms. Julie Gardner. So in order to remove them, it's better to go ahead and send them all of the signers. So just to let you know, until then, we just have, I think, Ms. Julie still on there, but Mr. Lewis and Ms. O'Quinn that can only sign checks to go out. To the 18th meeting. Okay.
That's number 11, isn't it?
Yes, I think that'd be best.
And what you call the finance committee?
That'd be great. I'll get with Ms. Harris after this meeting.
Okay, what's the all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Number 13.
So you're
You
stopping,
take both of them. So you, yes, ma'am.
so y'all know we can't do anything until we, okay?
He's out of town for the rest of the week. Go ahead.
Okay.
Is that gonna cause a problem?
Yes,
What kind of problem?
We don't need to
we
do
don't,
anything.
we don't have, so right now,
Myself?
and not me, because I'm no longer, I mean, I'm on the resolution.
I'm initialing them, so I know it's getting past, my eyes to move on. I know Mr. Lewis can still sign. And Chrissy, yeah, she still has.
The flu, so we have some to go out now. They'll just have to.
We've never been looking at
Well, we got some bills that need to be paid.
We never been looking at
Let the two people you got inside.
Can Kyle sign?
He needs to be on the.
And Mr. O'Quinn.
And Miss Julie,
Miss
she's
Julie?
still on there as a sign Miss Julie.
She's
She's
here.
not a
Yeah,
trigger.
she's in the,
Well, she's not triggered, though.
she's still on the
We don't, what I'm saying is we don't need to let the bills go unpaid. Go ahead and take care of the business at hand.
city side, the duty side.
So,
It's a policy she can.
Couldn't we schedule a time, just leave the bills for Ms. O'Quinn to catch them at the front desk, where she's not mingling with everybody in the office? She can just sign the front foyer and then send her right back out,
Yes.
if need be.
Yes.
Yeah, because she has the flu. We take it as soon as possible. Get it behind. When you get back to it.
To the 18th agenda.
Yeah.
Lewis,
Yes.
is that gonna affect you signing now?
No. Okay. Adopt orders levy sales tax and use tax. Can you look at it, please?
So this is the ordinance, it's in your packet, and it's just a renewal, that has to be approved by you all. Or it's not ad valorem, I'm sorry, it's sales and use tax. So we just need to have you all to approve it.
That's a
There's no change.
Move to accept. Second.
No more discussion. Question from the audience. You all in favor?
Aye.
You opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, approve 2024 liquor license for VK One Stop, Highway 521, Highway Denison, Clinton.
So move. Second.
No more discussion.
I'd like to abstain from this vote.
You understand? Any discussion from the audience? You all in favor?
Aye.
You opposed? Motion carries. Community staff report. Executive committee, I don't have any. What's the other committee? She's not here.
So it's Chrissy's meeting, I believe she spoke with everyone on
We
the
should have one scheduled for next week, but we're gonna change it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, Ms. Graham, can be here.
Finance committee, Kyle Franklin.
I'd like to make a motion to approve monthly invoices.
That's the discussion. Question from the audience. You all in favor?
Aye.
You opposed? Motion carries. Any question from me? Thank you. Like to move on. Public work and equipment, Mr. Jason McCray.
I don't have anything for you.
Business property committee, Mr. Richard Oliver.
I don't have anything right now, but we gotta have a committee meeting, which we should have had one on this building, sent that out, and, the roof, so maybe the next meeting, we'll have some.
What's the difference between all of them?
Yes, I'll.
Administrative matters, Mr. Chair.
So in your envelopes, I have an envelope there for you all, your tier threes in there. I know it's kind of early and some of you may misplace it. It's due on the 15th of May. So if you do misplace it, I can get another one for you. You can submit these yourself, but if you would like me to submit it, for you, you can fill out all the information and give it to me just to send it for you. Also, I have in your package your sexual harassment, workplace harassment ethics, form that you sign every year at the station, just saying that you received it. I believe that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Treasury report. Okay.
So, if you all would, I would like to recommend that you all approve the $26,000 transfer from general fund to the coroner's fund. So this is approved in your budget, that amount of the salary for the chief investigator is paid out of general fund. You just need to make that transfer.
So it's already been approved?
Yeah.
It's approved in the budget.
So moved.
Yes.
Second.
Moved by Mr. McCray, second by Mr. Holmeston. Any more discussion? Question from the audience. You all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Homeland Security, Mr. Dale Buell.
Okay, I got two things on there. We got a $14,000 grant to buy the Starlink satellites. We get a free permanent and one portable. So we're working on that. I got the price in today, so I'll be coming to the finance committee meeting with it, so we can put them in. They're a lot cheaper than what we're paying right now for internet. So it'll save us about $1,500 a year for internet service. The other one is, hey, I'm working on some more generator projects. One is for the library. I put it on there, and we were going to use that as a heating and cooling satellite. So if we have a major hurricane or ice storm and people are cold or hot and they got to cool down, especially on the elderly, we'll have a generator there during power outages that we can actually have it running. I already have 4 sites we're working on right now. I'm doing all the paperwork. We might be getting an extra couple $1 million. So if we do, hey, I'm gonna have everything ready, sitting there waiting, and all we gotta do is just hand it in to get it approved. That's all I
I
got.
have a question for you.
Yep.
With the concept of the big church past week,
Mhm.
is all that gumbo,
Yep.
to, in the state, are you aware of it?
Yep,
Gonna do some support, good thing,
yep.
Now, I wanted to ask too, would you be able to be at our next finance meeting for next
Yeah.
week? Okay, we'll get with you after
Yeah.
the meeting as well,
Mhm.
get you information for that.
Yeah.
thank you.
I'd like to tell the public, these dollars always sound good, but most of the time, you know how government works. If you talk about them today, 8 or 9 years from now, some come a little quicker, most of the time they don't get here very fast.
Real crack, no hundreds. Okay. Commission board for training on the recommend vacancy to approve A through H. The public hearing on the future, that's the recommendation from Candy on the approve. H.
That's a motion for me.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dexter Armstead,
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Chastain,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Cheatham,
Yes.
Mr. Kyle Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Jason McCray,
Yes.
Mr. Keith Mills,
Yes.
Mr. Richard Oliver,
Yes.
Dr. Chrissy O'Quinn is absent, President Louis Kent.
Yes. Mr. Rich, I have one question, please. Before I came to the meeting, Mr. Gary Kelly called me, and that's what it is. You come before the court, Kelly on a request, 59 or something? I was still on there.
Mr. Kelly came before planning and zoning with a request to rezone property out on Highway 959, the old Riley School. They were sent back, they need two things, additional things, so we tabled the matter to maintain his request. But he has to come back with a definite purpose for the rezone, basically outline what they're gonna do out there and exactly how much of the 10 acres, I think it's 10 acre lot, that he's gonna rezone. He's not gonna rezone, he's gonna rezone the school buildings, not the whole 10 acres. Because they're not planning on using the other 10 acres, the rest of the 10 acres right now. So he's coming back again, probably next meeting, if they get their, map they need done, or the following meeting after that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Jim.
Mr. Kent,
Yes, sir.
I'm Eric Robish, on my items H on the map, just a part of business. I'm planning on bringing in the maintenance agreement and bond tomorrow, dated tonight for 12 months. Do I just walk into the jury office to do that, or do I make an appointment with you and or someone to get those signed?
You give him the Kelly. Now we're approved. You can answer that, Mr. Whitaker. Okay, so we proceed with
I think the documents he's referring to, I think they'll come back to us ultimately for acceptance, is that correct?
Yes, approved.
But he said specifically his bond and road agreement, if I heard correctly, is that correct?
A lot of people told me that I have to hand carry the bond in,
Yes.
so I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So do we supposed to read that
I think the parish manager and Mr. Lewis, that would be the parish manager, Mr. Lewis, and maybe Mr. Jeff Williams.
As of now, we never make it distinct that she wasn't assistant parish manager. She was appointed assistant parish manager, and with that concern, witness otherwise, she would come up with this. We never take that designation off for being assistant parish manager. That's something brought in effect, what, 4 or 5 years ago. What you do now, you get that resolution away from them.
From, we talking about?
Yes.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
She needs to add that to her prescription on
Right.
this paper.
Okay, let's discuss previous proposed going on, is this a group, trustee? Nothing else, take the name, please.
Bruce Preston. On property 4771 Old Liberty Road North, I bought it about a year and a half ago or so. Anyway, I've experienced several problems with my neighbors shooting their high-powered rifles 50 feet from my residence, where I ran with a lady and a man, and they had 2 kids. And twice, expired a deer when I've been working in the back 60, 70 feet from me. So I've got a hold of Mr. Kyle Flanagan, and I asked him about that, and come to find out there's no ordinance whatsoever out here as far as where you can shoot your gun. So Mr. Flanagan kindly came out there and addressed the issue, and we talked about it, and he brought the ordinance before y'all, and I found out, when I called him to see if I could do anything, when the guy shot again, thinking we might have an ordinance passed, and he told me there wasn't one. They voted, y'all, shot it down or tabled it. So I called in a couple of weeks ago and asked if I could get on the agenda to see if we could bring this back up, because I like to have a shootout there between the tenants and the neighbor next door, because it just seems like he can fire his, I mean, this is high power rifle, I've been back there working, he shoot off 6 rounds, and it sounds like he's shooting at me. So with the growth in the Feliciana Parish, I know Mr. Edward Farrell did it, but we've done right around the corner, we've gotten 2-acre lots. I mean, I think we might, if we could possibly relook at this issue and see, because, I mean, they got 2-acre lots there, and you can step out your back door, there's no law saying you can fire your gun anywhere you want. I'm a second Henry guy, I'm actually, I grew up, I got plenty of them. I just, concerned for safety for myself when I'm working back there. I mean, we shouldn't have a guy shooting at a deer 60 feet from you when you're back there working on your own property. I've actually set up a couple, the pretty lake we dug out back there, I got a couple camper spots now that friends and myself will be using. And it's kind of leery with no law, just say he can shoot back there anytime he wants.
Yes, sir, we talked about it, and that's why I told him, I said, please come speak. I didn't get very far previously, and when I brought it up, and I felt like we could polish it at that time, but the public outcry was so loud. I don't know that any amount of polishing it would make it go anywhere, unless maybe we could go back and discuss it with Mr. Aquila, or maybe even look at it from another standpoint, maybe not necessarily the firearm governing it, maybe something noise related, or from a safety standpoint, just general public safety. I don't know. It might be more of a legal question at that point.
Safety, number 1 part, safety.
I
Number
agree.
1 part, we give them this,
Yes, I think that'll be fine. We'll readdress it if you have an opportunity, Mr. Aquila, and see if we can come up with something that'll try to help.
To St. Helena and West Feliciana have done on this, I think that's what you went by.
And EVR.
EVR.
There's many other ones if you go
Yeah,
in.
pretty much everybody has a gun on this.
Some more strict and some less.
Yeah. But this is, I mean, you got a right to privacy, right, not to be thinking you're getting shot at 50 feet from your house.
Anybody quick, we'll have no names.
Sir?
May I comment?
Yes, sir.
Had he not brought this up, it was about a time before I brought it
One
up.
second. Thank you, sir. Okay. Ms. Gator, will you-
Yes, I'll get Mr. Aquila, we'll see.
We gonna allow these other folks time to talk tonight, because they're already here.
That's why we late, until you
I'm good?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Discuss, take action necessary on gun range located at 545 Southward Road, Florida. Been February, down February.
Mayor,
Go ahead, I talked first the other day.
That's all right, you go ahead, I got a lot of people to talk.
Please take your mic and state your name, please.
My name's Darrell Sanders. Some of you know me. I ran the Idlewild Station for about 2 decades right there. Live on Scott Bar Road. A couple of years ago, Mr. Ben Bob and his father, a couple of years ago, Mr. Bob started a small out of his house business, charging people to shoot off of his back porch, advertised on Facebook. It was a minor nuisance, but nothing serious. Sometime last spring, he decided to expand that and open up a 1,000-yard range on his father-in-law's property. Now, to do that, Mr. Frizzell, father-in-law, has 80 acres, and to accomplish that, they had to put the shooting house in one extreme northwest corner and the target area in the extreme southeast corner. You want to pass these out?
I'm aware of Dr. Cooper, I think we.
Yes, you know,
Exactly, yes, sir.
there's a copy of a map there that shows this. And the biggest issue that I have is that there are 4 East Feliciana property owners whose property pretty much corners on that same, right at the target area. Mr. Fisher, Mr. Fago, myself, and Mr. Jimmy Steele, all real close by. There are some others that have property that are 200 yards away. But if you will look at there's another copy. Make sure I have a copy. Make sure these pages are right. All right. The second page is actually a screen grab from one of Mr. Bob's promotional videos showing the berm at the end of the 1,000-yard range. The berm is on the property lines owned by Ms. Steele. You see the property, the open pasture to the left of the berm, that's Ms. Steele's property. If you see the open pasture to the right, that's Mr. Fisher's property. My property, if you look down, kind of lower center there, there's a silhouette target. Some animal, elk, whatever. My property line is about 230 feet directly to the right of that. Mr. Fago's property is the first line of trees right behind Mr. Fisher's open field. And I'll refer back to zoning and planning meeting on April 25th. It's on video. Prior to that, Mr. Bob and Mr. Frizzell started building this shooting range without any permits at all. Mr. Williams went out and put a stop order on it and told them they had to submit a permit. They sent it in. Mr. DeQuilla reviewed it and recommended it be zoned, rezoned. It was zoned rural agriculture. He suggested it be rezoned into light industrial, which would have set in motion a series of events that would eventually have led to a zoning hearing, standard procedure. That never happened. So the 4 landowners who are scared to go behind the back end of the property because of rifle fire from 1,000 yards away have no voice. There was never a hearing. The planning and zoning, I went to them 2 months ago, and they said they'd been presented with this, and they didn't know what to do, and basically Mr. Josh Oakland said we did nothing. We did not rezone. That leads to problems with people being denied the use of their property because they're afraid to go back there. Now, last week, again, and please fact check me on all of this. The April 25th meeting is fairly lengthy because they go and plead their case for avoiding
or not appointing, but not having to go through the zoning process. Mr. Frizell gets up and says that, first of all, that this is a cottage industry, not a major enterprise. And they talk different with the committee there during the meeting. And they finally get down to where they want to call it a club. Where members pay dues, and if it's a club, it doesn't have to be rezoned commercial. But they also made a number of other claims in there. He had a letter that he was reading off to Mr. Josh Oakley that outlined what they plan to do. And this is all on the 25th. It was to be a cottage industry, run like a club. All the berms were going to be 20 feet high. There was not going to be any sound greater than 60 decibels, because the parish does have a fairly strict noise ordinance. Anything over 85 during the day is right. Then he went on to say that there wasn't going to be any noise issues, even if it exceeded 85 decibels, because there's nobody living within a half a mile of the shooting house. The last page, or the next to last page on that shows the shooting house. It's right on the corner of Scott Bar Road. So you've seen it. Yeah, it's about 30, 40 feet off the road. All right. If no one lives within a half a mile of that, well, he was off by the number 11. There are 11 households with people in them, not counting Mr. Joe Nolan from behind me back here, and not counting a graffiti-covered motorhome that's sitting there with a bunch of trash in front of it, the guy standing in the door. I don't know if you've seen that. That probably would involve some investigation. But there are 11 households instead of none. And John Rushon was at the meeting, asked, well, where does Darrell Sanders live in relationship to that? And Mr. Frizell said, oh, half a mile. And again, fact check me on the video. I'm less than a quarter of a mile from that shooting house. And I've lived across the fence from Mr. Frizell for 42 years. He knows exactly where I live. The other thing of interest there, somebody on the planning and zoning asked, has it been inspected? And Mr. Frizell looked around and said, yeah, somebody from Wildlife and Fisheries came by and said it was okay. I'm still on 2 or 3 committees with Wildlife and Fisheries, advisory committee, from working in Iowa. Wildlife and Fisheries does not inspect shooting ranges. They don't approve them, they don't disapprove them. They own some, and they've got standards by which they go. But there was no one there that had authority to approve or disapprove the shooting range. I had an very interesting talk with the sheriff last Friday. When y'all decide, or if you do decide to do something about this, talk to the sheriff. Turns out I called him to get the exact protocols for sound monitoring, and I'll get to that in a minute. But then he went on to tell me that he was the range officer at DCI for a pretty good while. And all of those correction officers have to qualify at shooting range. And he didn't think he had a problem either until, unbeknownst to them, somebody moved a house trailer in behind their berm a good ways without telling them. And then the next weekend, or the next time they qualified, they found the mobile home full of holes. Not only did they miss the target, they missed the berm. And at 1,000 yards, if this shooting range continues as is, I'm afraid I'm going to be part of that problem. At the 25th meeting, Mr. Frizell said that they were going to have 20-foot berms. Thanks to Mr. Latrell Fisher, I was able to go in there and measure it the other day. I measured it at 20, and at the planning meeting, I mean at 12 feet in height. And Mr. Fogg said he measured it 12 feet 9 inches. Well, that's still way short of 20 feet. And why 20 feet? There are numerous sources of safety protocols for shooting ranges. In the federal government, the Department of Energy, Department of Justice, the FBI, private institutions, like the NRA have guidelines. I'm gonna leave this with y'all. This is the Department of Energy guidelines for shooting range. And it's available online to anybody. The takeaway from that is that all of these people that recommend, that design shooting ranges, recommend buffer zones behind the berm. There is no buffer zone that belongs to Mr. Frizzell behind that berm, since the berm is on the property line. And it is only 19 yards to the right to Mr. Fisher's property. It's only 33 yards to my property, and it's 98 yards to Mr. Fago's property, and it's 0 yards to Ms. Steele's property. So even though you will probably hear shortly that there's no way that they can miss, I refer you back to the sheriff. They didn't know they had a problem until the guy called with a mobile home full of holes. And all I had ever really wanted out of this was a zoning hearing to let the people that do own land back there behind the berm and along my property parallels the Mr. Frizzell's property, and someone to actually go in there and say it's safe. And again, I would recommend the sheriff as a resource on this. He was very helpful last Friday. Mr. DeQuilla believes it needs to be rezoned, and I'm here now because Mr. Amrine, I talked to him Tuesday, and he said, come by here and show up.
This came up before. I talked to Mr. Russo, the Secretary of County Zoning. He said because it was agricultural, you need to have a zoning change. That's what he told me. So he didn't ready before saying it was zoning. Now, I wondered why we shouldn't have a hearing to discuss it. He said, we don't need to have one because it probably was zoned agriculture. And we could do just about what they wanted, agricultural property.
Also, too, they have investors, and one of them's here tonight, and he said last Tuesday, again, all this is on record, that the board was presented with information of the planning and zoning board presented with information that was going to be a club. During the video last week, Mr. Bob never mentioned the word club members. He talked about his customers and clients, and on the sign was going into the shooting range, it lists business hours. So it's a business. Not only that, the attorney for them got up and said, yes, this is obviously a major commercial venture that they spent $500,000 on it without anybody ever having, with adjoining property, have anything to say about it.
Mr. Russo said right now, Mr. Russo never, a few months ago, asked you about the shooting range on Sky Bar. And you said because it was agricultural, you didn't have to have a zoning change. You know, you told me that?
Yes, sir, that's right. That's what planning and zoning decided after the original hearing, was an outdoor range on 40 acres. Outdoor shooting ranges are basically an outdoor activity.
About people that charge money for events, and if you charge the money for events or something, then that's considered commercial.
No, sir, it's just like any other agricultural endeavor. A man that has a beef cattle farm is a commercial.
Mr. Russo, put your mic in. Thank you.
Okay. Just like any other agricultural endeavor, a beef cattle operation is a commercial activity on agricultural property. It's outdoor, it's farm, it's agriculture related. Hunting is an agriculture related. You can't do it anywhere but outdoors. You can if you got traps, but it's an agriculture related activity. It's going to make money. People don't farm for free. Any beef operation, any forestry operation, they're all commercial activities. They're there to make money. It's just like any other agricultural activity. There is no dollar amount. I mean, Don't talk to a logger, he's got 50 or 100 acres, you're talking $300,000, that's a pretty good chunk of change, and it's an agriculture-related activity, but it's also commercial.
What he's requesting, why are they coming forward saying it's on there, so people in the community to understand why.
We had it for 3 or 4 months. This is ongoing.
He stated that Mr. McQuillis should be rezoned.
And
You stated just now, right?
yes, and I've been in correspondence with him recently, and he still says it should be rezoned.
Mr. Lewis, let me just make one comment, Sam, before I'm the district attorney. I don't know all the facts about what went on, I just hear bits and pieces from the meeting. I'm not gonna give y'all legal advice in the open meeting,
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
but I need to let the jury, remind the jury that you're in a pending lawsuit with kind of the same fact scenario. So I don't think that you're here to take action
No,
tonight.
you're not taking it.
But if you want to talk about it, maybe an executive session would be the appropriate way to discuss it.
That would suit me fine, thank you.
Since it's a 2 weeks from now, I think I would like to take it to our next meeting and go to executive session, discussion.
And Mr. Bob, speaker.
Thank you. Well, that's what-
How y'all doing?
Sit down, please.
Ben Bob, Roman Shot Outdoors with the outdoor shooting range. I have a presentation that I had a slideshow, but I don't have to get it all up there. As we discussed, we did go and speak with planning and zoning about our shooting range, and we didn't start out trying to be legal when we started building. When I called the zoning board, or I called up here, and a lady that I spoke with told me that we were under 800 square feet on the building, so we didn't have to have a permit. So, and we discussed that with Mr. Jeff Williams. After he came out and shut us down, we went and did everything they asked us to do, and we proceeded from there. We got we came to, from April to, I believe, July, we had a meeting every month here discussing all this stuff. And anyway, that's where we got started. But on the range, you see on our documents, we had the infamous letter to proceed, and they gave us some guidelines to follow on that, and we did every guideline they asked us to do. We got our insurance, we got our, I don't know what permit it is, but we permit to occupational permit. And then we got our insurance on the range.
Can I say anything to help him a little bit, some of them? Everything that they wanted us to do, we've more than done. The range is by far the safest range I've ever been to. We hunt all over this country, shoot all over this country, and it's incredibly safe. We've taken so many measures to make sure of that, because it is extremely important to us that everything is safe. It is members only. We advertise that. You're allowed to come try it out with us, person to person, one time, then you have to join. That's a rule, It's not open, it's not manned 24/7. You have to make an appointment online on our website, and then we have somebody
You need to
there.
go to the mic, ma'am, so everybody.
I'm sorry, I feel like I'm screaming, I'm sorry. So if somebody has to be there at the range with you, my father, myself, my husband, we have another range officer that opens the door, shoots, spots, watches. You start at 100 yards shooting, and you can't make it past 100 yards, like your capabilities of shooting are not where they need to be, you have to have class with him. He teaches. So, we're doing everything we can possibly to make it as safe as we possibly can at a shooting range. And I feel like we have, definitely.
You got the impact study and everything.
Yes, sir, we've done, that's what I'm saying. We started out to be rezoned. We went and got all the impact, the letters of impact. They all came back, no impact. But anyway, let's further on in the slide. And he wants a safety, he wants somebody outside to come do a safety inspection. Mr. Bill Cox has come out and taken a look several times at the range. He said it was safe to him. Mr. Jordan is with the NRA safety, range safety officer, and he's designed several ranges, and he's here to talk to you all night. So it's not like, we didn't go about this lighthearted one. We have, we went through and did all kinds of safety protocols on this. There's a letter, insurance. We require everybody to be unloaded when they get there. They install a clear breach indicator in their rifle when they get there, no loaded guns. No loading until the range hot light is on. We have 3 lights, one upstairs, one downstairs inside, one outside, let everybody know the range is hot. And the people that, if we have anybody downstairs, they turn the light off so the people know upstairs that they're going down range. Nobody ever goes down range but my father-in-law or myself, unless we're doing 4-H, and then we have the 4-H kids go down into the 20, something like that.
That's separate.
Yeah, that's a separate deal. So, when you show up, you shoot at the 100 yards. You check and make sure your rifle's zeroed. If you're not zeroed at 100 yards, we're gonna make sure you're zeroed, and then we'll walk you out 200, and then 300, and then 400, and that's as far as you can go. That's as far as you can go. And we're not shooting your grandpa's rifle. The rifles we shoot are high-end custom rifles, and we have several of our shooters here tonight. They're not hold up and let's see if we can just bang it out like we were accused of doing. We have ballistic calculators. We said everybody, we have everybody stuff. If they don't have it in their ballistic calculator, we have it. We go through and tell them what their exact dope is. So we're off by inches if we're off. We're not off by feet. You have the burn heights in there. You have other ranges from other, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a clear breach indicator, and that's downrange. We have baffles designed on the side of the shooting house. That's, well, I don't know why that one's first, but we're not shooting laser beams. That is our angle of impact off of different rifles. They're falling in. So if you dial wrong, you're still hitting your burn. You would have to be on almost a full revolution on your scope to be at the top of the burn, let alone go over it. Yeah, it's not, you would have to deliberately shoot over the burn. You can't, you're not gonna, what's that?
275 is a drop.
Yeah, I mean, it's falling out of the sky. There's a graph on how, what the bullets look like as they're traveling. We go over everything with everybody. Mr. Gordon got to see it yesterday. I mean, we beat safety to death. And the Department of Energy that he's talking about, this is their overall recommendation. The top of the burn should be at an elevation of 5 feet above the point where the highest line of direct fire can strike the burn. Direct fire means a direct aim at the target. So if you're aiming directly at the target and you're not dialed, like people that would come out that aren't educated, and it could come out and dial and try to shoot thousands of bullets on almost every caliber is hitting it between 500 and 600 yards. And our properties won't uphill back towards that background.
At the next meeting, like to have a representative.
Sir?
When it's in the session, well, this attorney discussed it, we're not gonna take any action tonight.
Okay. I hear you. You got a piece in there, you want to give you mine as well?
Okay,
What's going on?
I'll get your piece in there.
Yes, sir. I'm almost done. I'm good quick.
Okay.
In Zachary, we have a gun store. We build suppressors. Our ultimate goal is to have everybody out there with suppressors. I also have a sound guy here tonight who came out and did last April, came out and did a decimal study. He's trained in that field, and he has a full report on that. I think it's 5 slides. This is other Louisiana burns. There's no burns behind the other targets. They're just shooting, and they go. All right, there's an example. That was wildlife and fishery ranges on several of them. And some of them long range alley, and other one's the one down in Cutoff. Trying to speed up. This is as he's discussing, he kept beating us, trying to say the school last week. School way over here. Mr. Darrell's property stops here, that is ours to there. And then we have we have almost a 1 mile buffer between our range and the school. You didn't bring that up this week. This is an open field. We have wings on our burn. We have 10-foot wings on the sides of our burn, so any deflections are going into the burn.
I've stayed a number of times.
Sir?
I've been out a number of times. I've stayed.
Not the mine? Good. It's top notch, isn't it? These are the deflectors that we have to keep you from shooting from side to side. You can't shoot off the range. Yeah, there's an elevated platform, we're shooting down into the targets. You go look at our buffalo at 1,000 yards, and people are off on their boat. 90% of the shots are at the buffalo's feet. So, that's the inside of our range. You see the baffles. You can perfectly see the one in the center. I mean, it's centered up, you can't shoot right or left. My house, I should have gone back. My house is downrange on the right-hand side. If you look in the drawing, you'll see the house off the line. That's the grouping we're shooting at 1,000 yards. It's a 2-inch group. And on top of that, we have a computer that tracks your shots downrange. Every shot. You can see it, it blinks at you. Hey, this is your impact. Now, the dots, you have to put the dots on the steel. But it shows you, it blinks at you. Hey, this is your impact. Yeah. That's my 10-year-old nephew. See the string, the stuff on the string? That's a golf ball, 1,000 yards. We're shooting precision. We're not just airing them out. That's our camera system we put in. Our berms. This is our front berms, and that's our front berm there, and that's our rear berm. Like I stated, a lot of other ranges don't have berms behind every target. They just have one at the rear. We're trying to prevent any type of skipping whatsoever. We have our 4-H team comes out. East Feliciana hadn't had a 4-H team, I believe it was 14 years. 14 years. We started the 4-H team back up last year. We had kids go to regionals and state last year. We have regionals this week, matter of fact. Everyone, like she stated, everyone that comes out, they can't just show up. There's the range hours on the street outside, on the sign by the street. That's because people just show up. So we put a phone number on there, and they just put it on there and call us. And we have to put something on the sign.
You have to look online to sign
Yeah.
a waiver before you can even make an appointment.
Yep. And we have, the month of November, we had 14 shooters. December, we had 32 shooters. 53 in January, but everybody got their guns, and we had 37 last month.
It's not a commercial.
4-H outshoot, I should have told you all the hours, but it was way more hours on 4-H than it was off of our members. Like I said, we require you check at 0. It doesn't matter your skill level. I had a professional shooter come out, he sent an email, and he cut it off. He sent an email saying that, and you can read it in your books, I made him do the same thing. The shooters that are here tonight are my members. They gotta shoot 100 yards 0 every time before they start walking out. And we're spotting on spot scope every shot. Boy, this is not, we don't take this lightly. And then another guy that's here, he works at the barbecue shop here in Clinton. He came out and shot, and I shut him down at 400. Wouldn't let him go past 400 yards. I had a guy come out with a gun, really a bigger caliber we don't like because it tears up our targets. But he came out and had absolutely no idea what he had. And then on top of that, he didn't know what type of scope he had. I've given him dial, and we're at the 100-yard berm. And I give him a 3-inch adjustment, and he shoots a foot high. And I tell him, look, you gotta go. You can't come back until you can do some one-on-one with me. I'll be happy to sit down and go over with you. Mr. Prestridge's neighbor, that's the reason why we have this thing. We designed this because of that scenario right there. Last year, they had a young man over at 3 Rivers, walking in 3 Rivers. Some guys were out there targets. He shot and killed like an 18-year-old boy. We're trying to give people a place to come shoot. There's nothing like this in the parish. The setup, the range that we have, guys, it's top notch. There's nothing like it in an 800-mile circle. People that come out, this is just different reviews, and then you have our letters of impact. Yes, sir, they were all no impact.
Okay, thank you for your clarification.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Next meeting, we'll get a session with your representative, and Mr. President, discussion about
So my safety guy can't talk, or my sound guy can't talk. The sound is one gonna be the 2 biggest, and the safety's the other. Did they talk?
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
So I understand the guy's position on safety and what have you. I want to get into legality here. I just want, for the record, to make it clear that this is considered agriculture, right? And they are charging, correct? And I think they have a building on here with electricity, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna leave it at that because like you said, we're in a situation someone in court, the same kind of situation where we are charging another particular company, potential try to do something, say they couldn't charge. So they do have a fee here, they charge, so we want to have that on record. Agriculture, they are charging, and they do have a bill with electricity. So we're doing executive meeting, so I want that to be on our top focus. Thank you.
It would be the same as, a deer camp charging for leases. You've got tons of landowners around here that have deer camp leases.
Ross, if enough right now, we'll put too much information out until we meet the session.
All right, members of council, thank you. I'm Gordon Hutchinson. I am a constable down in the central area of East Baton Rouge Parish. I've been a police firearms instructor, and I'm the senior instructor in concealed carry, and I've been a certified range safety officer for a number of years. I was invited to come out and look at the range, and I spent the afternoon out there yesterday, Sunday afternoon. And I tell you, I was pretty impressed. I was impressed with the safety protocol and the practices. There was, as he said, anyone that comes in is checked and asked, and they weren't putting on a show for the guy. Anytime anybody moved, they had a orange tag inside the breech of the gun to make sure that any gun that was carried around was empty. I was impressed having East Feliciana 4-H club out there. I was thrilled to see the kids learning to shoot and out there practicing. I understand they've got a competition coming up this week, and they had instructors out there with them. I think one of the points needs to be made on the safety of this thing. You saw how they were shooting from a second floor window. Every shot is actually downhill, okay? And as it said on that, as I read part of it, and I haven't read the entire DOE thing on ballistic, on building a range and making it safe at the site of the berms. I called the training counselor for the NRA who trained me to be a range safety officer. And he said, as far as he knows, the NRA has no height level requirement on a berm. They talk about the materials to stop the bullets, but there's no height requirement. And this thing on the Department of Energy says it should be at least 5 feet above the point of impact. Well, I didn't see any point of impact down there that was above 5 feet. Most of them were down at the base of the berm. The berms are lower, up closer, of course, because you're only shooting 400 yards or 380 yards or whatever it is, and then it gets higher as they get back, and they've got 12.6. And I didn't see a point of impact on any target above 5 feet back there, so that gives you 7, 8 feet of safety right there. Also, I asked about the back there, and he said, well, there was a mile of woods, and they were familiar with the people, and if there was any questions. So I'm familiar with things like the gentleman was talking about before about shooting over berms. I've seen that. I've been a law enforcement firearms instructor. I was for years with the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. And contrary to popular opinion, not all cops shoot very well, okay? And they tend to, if you want to reinforce of that, go to any police range and look at the awning in front where they shoot, and you see daylight all through it. So yeah, bullets go over berms. But in this case, they're shooting from seated positions and shooting downhill, and they're aiming really at the base of the berms 1,000 yards out. It's a pretty impressive operation. I think you should go see it before you make any decision. They've got cameras all the way down the range so they can see where they hit. And like I said, I was impressed with their safety protocol. Nobody moved without being checked, and they stay on top of it. It's a pretty professional operation. I mean, from my own personal opinion, I think it'd be quite an economic boom for the parish. They're already getting people from out of state coming to shoot. So that's it. I can only speak to the safety. It looked very safe to me.
Thank you for your comment.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take it to that until the next meeting. Next second, got a representative discussing this. Is that what you're doing? That's what you're doing. We'll move on to the public comment. State your name, please.
Green lights on. Debbie Kemp.
Big get them out of there.
The green lights
its own, so, and, I'm not gonna give you my physical address, but I live in District 5. Is that good enough? And my first question is this a public comment on the gun range or a public comment in general? Okay, all right, great. I can see that all were well aware of the article, and, you know, we're trying to do our best, and I'm guilty. We're all guilty, we've even, you know, fallen by the wayside tonight, kind of thing. But I just wanted to point out, there's no byline. So this person who wrote this didn't want to give their name.
We know who it is, I promise.
Yeah, I know that. But it's like the pot calling the kettle black, you know, kind of thing. So, and I'm gonna try to do better. I'm not gonna make any promises. We all fall back. This is a small town. I forget that it's parish-wide. You just think it's Clinton, and everybody knows everybody, kind of thing. I've never really had a lot of respect for this paper because it's soft news. But to find out that someone did come to a police jury meeting and cover it, in a sense, gives me hope that maybe we can get some type of communication in the parish through this paper, because everybody gets it.
We on YouTube, we on Facebook, we in the Washington.
That's right, but, okay, not everyone has a computer. Not everyone can afford the Morning Advocate. The Watchman, sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. There's areas of the parish now that the Advocate will not deliver to anymore. So these people, you're left to either going online or having your paper mailed to you, talk to someone. Sometimes they get it the next day, sometimes they get it 4 or 5 days later. So we definitely need some form of communication, but we need hard news as well. Yeah. So that, you know, I'm gonna do better. Hopefully everyone else will do better. I might wanna make a suggestion, and it just came up randomly. Mr. DeQuilla and Mr. Williams, if they're gonna do side comments, why don't they stand behind y'all or sit around here where at least people can see you speak?
See, that would be truly no different, you have to come to the mic.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for your comment. You know, what public comment? Come to the mic.
You want to go ahead and do that, or talk after?
You come on. Take your name, please.
Susan Coward. I am a neighbor. I live in East Baton Rouge Parish. My home is 1,500 feet from the middle of this shooting range, to the right. So as far as I can see, they have targets all along the way, metal targets. And
Not this record, we should, we split that down something.
okay.
Which was always speculation.
Well, and the next person speaking is going to talk about the decibel.
No, no, we never split that one.
All right.
I'll
be ready.
It's the next week.
Thank you.
No more public comment. But now they can't vote this again.
Mr. Kent,
Yes, sir.
just a quick question.
Okay.
Are you saying there's no more public comment allowed?
Oh, yeah, we discussed that now already.
No more public comment?
No. On the record.
On the right, you got to say no.
Yes, we discussed it, not on the record. Next week.
Okay.
Any questions? Now they can't avoid to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Raise that door right.